Okay, hi guys. This video here is dedicated to practicing solving equations, and it's kind of a brand new topic in class if you're watching this video. And the reason I say it's brand new is so far all we've been doing is comparing which is greater. Well, now we're going to talk about what happens when you have two expressions that are equal to each other. So our first example that you should write down here is 2x minus 1 plus x equals 5 plus x. These two things are equal to each other. We are saying that 2x minus 1 plus x is equal to 5 plus x. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do what we've been learning in class. We're going to make a visual of this. We're going to draw out what it looks like for these two expressions to be equal. And we're going to draw this on something that we call an equation mat. So that's what this is, an equation mat. And in class, we've been doing it like hands-on. We've been using what we call algebra tiles to build these equations, but when we're not with the algebra tiles, we're just going to draw out what that would look like. So on the left side, we have 2x minus 1 plus x. So we're going to envision it like this. I have two x's. So here's an x tile, and here's an x tile. And they're both positive, so to represent a positive, we shade them in, make them dark. There's two x's. Minus 1 means we have a negative 1 unit. Plus x means I have another x tile. And there's a picture of my mat. And then on the right side of the mat, we have 5 plus x. So we have 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positive units. I'll shade them in dark. And an x, which looks like this. And according to what we've been told, these two expressions are equal to each other. So here's the equal sign down the middle here. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to solve for x. What could x be to make this true? So that's our big goal, is we want to solve for x. Solve for x. What is x in this problem? So to organize our work, we've got our visual picture here, but we're also going to be setting up our table. And we're going to organize what are we doing on the left, what are we doing on the right, and what's our explanation. And to kind of begin with, I'm going to write down the original problem. 2x minus 1 plus x equals 5 plus x. And my explanation over here is this is the original problem, so I say original. And then I'm going to start using the things we've learned how to do. We know that on an equation mat or an expression mat, we can find zero pairs. We can flip, and we can balance. So I'm going to go with those strategies. Flip, zero, balance. And if I look at this problem and I think about flipping, well, there's not a lot that I see to flip yet. So maybe I should skip that step and start with maybe balance. Let's balance some stuff out. What do we have on the left and the right side that match up that we could take off? If something's the same on both sides, we can take them off the mat equally at the same time. And the one thing that stands out is here's an x tile and here's an x tile. And they're both positive. They're the same thing. Let's take them off the mat. And if I take them off the mat, I still have 2x and a minus 1. So I'm going to write that down. On the left, I still have 2x minus 1. And on the right, I still have 5. I still have a 5. I want to move on to some of my other steps, and I don't see any zero pairs, but I do notice something that I could do. I see that there's a unit here and a whole bunch of units over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this one unit over. I'm going to flip it to the other side of the mat. So that's my next move. Let's do a flip. And when I flip it to the other side of the mat, it's going to go over here and become a dark shaded unit. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units on the right. And on the left, I still have 2 x's. 2x equals 6. So I'm almost done. The next thing I need to do is I really want to know at the very end, what does x equal? Remember, that was our question, solve for x. So we're close. We know what 2x's equals. We know 2x's equals 6. So the next move here is to say, okay, if 2x's equals 6 units, let's split that up and say, what does 1x equal? And if you think about it, here's an x. I'm going to split this group in half. There's 3 here and 3 here. So each x equals 3 when I divide that group in half. So in my last step, I'm going to say x is equal to 3. And I know that because I divided it into 2 equal groups. So my reason is division. And there's my answer. Now eventually we're going to get so good at these that we won't be needing the visual picture to help us. We'll get really fast at each of these steps. But for now, as we're just beginning to learn how these steps work, it's really nice to see the algebra tiles. It's really nice to be able to build it and actually physically move them. And it also proves to other people that you know what you're doing. So it kind of helps you show your advanced work if you could draw it out. So let's practice a couple more of these and kind of get the hang of it. We'll do another example. All right, example 2. Same setup. If you want to pause the video so you can kind of sketch this out, feel free. We're going to solve for x again. This time we're going to have 2x minus 3 equals, we'll say 4, equals 4. So I'm going to draw 2x minus 3 equals 4 on my mat. I'm going to draw a picture of two x's. They're positive, so I'm going to shade them in dark. And then I'm going to draw a picture of negative 3, so 1, 2, 3 negative units. And then equals 4, so okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 units that are positive over here. And that's my beginning step. Now if that's my original, that's what I'm going to write in my table here. 2x minus 3 equals 4. And that's my original. And like I always say, pause the video so you can write all this down if I'm going fast. Now I'm going to go through my legal moves, the flip zero balance. Kind of looking at this right away, I'm not seeing any zero pairs, and I'm not seeing anything to balance off the mat, so I'm going to go for flip as my first move. And I'm thinking, let's flip these 3 units over here to be with the other units. It's kind of like piled them up on one side. So they're going to flip and become dark positive units. 1, 2, 3. And then I have 2x left on the left side. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units left on the right side. And I'm down to what's going to be my last step. My last step is I want to know what does x equal, not what does 2x's equal, what does 1x equal. So what I'm going to do is divide this group in half. There's 2 x's, so I'm going to picture kind of dividing the units down the middle. The only trouble is it's an odd number. It's 7 units, and I want to divide it into 2 groups. So 7 divided by 2 is a decimal. It's 3.5. So my x is going to equal 3.5 units, which is okay. You can get decimals. It's okay to have it. I'm kind of picturing it like this. If I divide it down the middle here, there's 3, and then there's like this extra one that I have to split in half to share amongst the x's. And I'm going to label that step division. Division. Okay, so let's look at another one of these. The more you see, the better you get at these things. So example 3, same setup. We're going to be solving an equation. This time, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have negative x plus 1 plus 3x equals 4 minus x. Equals 4 minus x. So our job is going to be to draw it on the equation mat. We have 2 equal equations. So we're going to write negative x. So we're going to write a negative x here, like this. Plus 1. Okay, so 1 unit. Plus 3x. Okay, so that'd be 1, 2, 3 x's, but they're all shaded dark. And that expression is equal to 4 minus x. So 4 would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, and a minus x would be like negative x. There we go. Okay, cool. There's my setup. So I have it all drawn. Now I'm going to write it down here as my original. Negative x plus 1 plus 3x equals 4 minus x. And that's my original problem. And now I'm going to go through those legal moves. Flip, zero, balance. So let's see, flip, zero, balance. I could start wherever I want. How about we start this time with zero pairs? Let's look for positives and negatives that can cancel out. And I see one zero pair over on the left that's kind of standing out to me. This negative x, positive x combination. Those are going to cancel out to 0. So let's take them off the mat, and that leaves 2x plus 1. 2x plus 1 on the left side. I'm not seeing any zero pairs on the right. So on the right, I'm just going to rewrite it as the same thing. It's 4 and a minus x. Cool. Okay, so there's my zero pair step. Now let's go on to flip and balance, whichever one I want to go for. I think we'll do balance next. I'll just choose one. If I wanted to balance this mat, you have to find something on the left and right that match to take them off. The x's don't match. These are positive and this is negative, so I'm not going to balance those, but I could balance one of these units off each side. That would work, which now only leaves 2 x's over here. And then over here, I still have 3 units and a minus x. So we're getting closer. So now I'm going to move on to that flip move. Kind of want to pile x's on one side and units on the other. So my thought here is let's take this negative x, move it over to the other side so it shades into a positive x. Let's just flip that x over. Now there are 1, 2, 3 x's on that side. And on the other side, there's still 1, 2, 3 units. So we have 3x equals 3 for our flip move. Now we're really close to being done. All we have left to do here is the division step. And this mat looks a little bit messy, but notice what we have. We have 3x is equals 3 units. So kind of picturing, here's those 3 x's again, just kind of drawn out on the side over here. There's 1, 2, 3. And those 3 x's are equal to these 3 units. So let's split the 3 units up. Let's divide them up. 1 for here, 1 for here, 1 for here. That's 1, 2, 3. So x is equal to 1. Each x equals 1 unit tile. So my final answer is x is equal to 1. And I know this because I did division. I divided up the unit tiles. So x equals 1 is my final answer. All right, so we're going to try one more of these for this last video. And the more you do, the better you get at these. So last example here, example 4. And same exact setup. We're going to draw a mat and make a table. For this problem, let's start making them a little bit more complicated. So on the left, we're going to have x minus parentheses, 1 minus x, equals 5 plus x minus 1. I would encourage you for this last one to pause the video and see if you can do this problem on your own first. See if you can get it right to know if you're kind of getting the handle of this. So I'm going to draw it out first. X is going to go on top, and it's a positive x. Then I have this minus parentheses, so that's going to go down in the negative box. And it's a 1 minus x, so 1 unit and a minus x, a negative x. And then on the right side, I have 5 plus x, so that's 5 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I have a plus x, so okay, it's positive x right there. And I have a minus 1, so okay, negative 1 right there. Okay, so that's my original. I better write it back out again. X minus parentheses 1 minus x equals 5 plus x minus 1 original. And now I'm going to go through my flip zero balance. And I'm going to go in that order today. I'm going to flip first. I like to always flip everything up to the top of the mat. I find it the easiest way to compare is move everything up as your first step. Those last few examples, we didn't have to do that. There was nothing down below, but this time there is. So I'm going to move the unit up, but it's going to become a negative. I'm going to move the x up, but it's going to become a positive. And then I'm going to say, oh, okay, there's 2 x's and a negative 1. So 2x and a minus 1 on the left side. On the right side, I didn't even do anything. So it's still 5 plus x minus 1. But there's my flip move. Then I'm going to 0. So flip 0. Look for things that are going to cancel out, positive and negatives that will balance each other out. So in this case, there's really nothing on the left, but over here on the right, there's a zero pair right there. Let's take those units off the mat. Left side doesn't change, it's still 2x minus 1. Right side is now 1, 2, 3, 4 plus x. So it got a little simpler. All right, now we're going to balance. So let's see what we have matching up. Balance. Anything that matches on the left and right can come off. So in this case, this x and this x can balance off, or this x, it doesn't matter which x, this x and this x, I can balance those off. They match up. The units would be nice to take off, except this is a negative and this is a positive, so you can't balance those out. So on the left, I now have an x minus 1. And on the right, I now only have 1, 2, 3, 4 units. That's the only thing I have left. So I'm way closer to having an answer. I'm almost done. The only thing left to do is to pile up the units on one side. So I'm going to move this unit over, make it a dark shaded unit. And then I'm going to notice that the only thing left over here is an x. And what's left on the right side is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And all of a sudden I'm going to notice that one little flip move was what got me my answer. X is equal to 5. X is equal to 5. So like I said, eventually we're going to be doing these problems where you won't have to show as many steps. You'll get faster at this and you won't need the visual. But until we get there, this is a really helpful tool for you to understand kind of these different types of moves, these flip zero balances. So yeah, we'll keep working on it. Thanks for watching.